The morning his mother died, Chitty didn't cry. He sat beside her body for hours, just staring at her face like he was expecting her to open her eyes and ask him what he was looking at. When Oge, his 8-year-old sister, started crying again, that was when he stood up. There was no money for coffin. No family member came, not even his mother's church people. So Chitty took a shovel and started going from house to house, asking if someone could follow him to land and help dig. Some people said they were not feeling well. Some said they had things to do. One woman even said, "Why not bury her behind the house? That bush is not safe." Chitty knew what they were all trying not to say. Nobody wanted to step foot on that land. Not after what happened years ago. The land was about 10 minutes away from the house, just past the narrow path behind the village church. Mama Evelyn had always said it was family land, her father's land. That was where she buried her own mother, and she made Chitty promise he'd bury her there too. The bush had grown tall. It looked like nobody had gone there in a long time. Chitty tied a cloth around his waist and held the shovel tighter. He didn't talk. He didn't think. He just cleared a small patch near the palm tree and started digging. Oge sat on a low stone not far from him, her face swollen from crying. She held their mother's wrapper like it was going to bring her back. Chitty didn't know what to tell her. He didn't even know what he was doing, but he kept digging. He had dug about 3 feet down when the shovel hit something hard. Not a stone. It sounded different. Hollow. Chitty paused. He dug slower, carefully. When he cleared more sand, his chest tightened. He saw wood. He bent down and scraped the edges with his hand. It was old, but it wasn't rotten. He dropped the shovel and stood up straight. Something was already buried there. He wanted to stop. Just cover everything back and dig somewhere else. But something in him couldn't leave it alone. He pulled to it gently, and it shifted a bit. It was a box, a coffin, and it was small. Too small for an adult. He opened the box. Slowly. The lid wasn't nailed down. Inside was a small body, or what was left of it. Bones, wrapped in faded cloth. The skull was round and clean like it had been there for a long time. Chitty covered it back immediately and sat on the ground, breathing hard. He didn't know how long he stayed there, but Oge's voice brought him back. "Is that where we'll put Mummy?" she asked. He looked at her and shook his head. No. Later that afternoon, he told her to stay at home. He went to Mama Rose, the oldest woman in the village, not because he was close to her, but because he didn't know who else to talk to. Mama Rose listened quietly. She didn't interrupt him once. When he finished talking, she leaned back in her chair and looked at him like she was trying to remember something. "That land, your mother never told you anything about it?" she asked. Chitty shook his head. Mama Rose sighed. "It wasn't your land alone. Long ago, somebody buried something there they were not supposed to bury. A child. Nobody talked about it. But everybody knew. The family that brought the body had money. They gave your mother something small. She never said yes, but she didn't say no either." Chitty stared at her. His mouth felt dry. "She regretted it. That's all I know," Mama Rose added. "But that land, people fear it. That's why nobody followed you there." From the moment Chitty found that tiny coffin, something shifted in the village. People who used to greet him now avoided eye contact. Children stopped coming near their compound. Even the church bell didn't ring on Sunday. On Monday morning, as Chitty walked to the stream with a bucket, he saw Samson and Victor sitting on the almond tree. They didn't greet him, just stared, quietly. When he turned to go, Victor hissed loud enough for him to hear. "You think because your mother died, you can open what was closed?" Chitty paused. He turned to face them. "What did I open?" he asked. Samson laughed without smiling. "That grave you touched? You should have left it alone." Chitty dropped the bucket and walked away. But deep in his chest, fear started to crawl. That evening, Oge came to his side, whispering, "Someone's outside." Chitty grabbed a torch and stepped out quickly. He didn't see anyone at first, but as he turned toward the gate, an old man stepped out from the shadows. It was Baba Matthew. He didn't waste time. "Bury your mother inside this compound," he said. "Don't go back to that land. And don't ask me why. Just listen." Chitty's voice was calm, but firm. "What's buried there that you people are hiding?" The man looked at him for a long time. "You're young. You don't know the kind of people your mother tried to protect you from. Let her rest. Let sleeping things sleep." Then he walked away, fast. Almost too fast for a man his age. That night, it rained heavily. Chitty couldn't sleep. Around 1 a.m., he heard the wooden gate creak. He jumped up and grabbed his machete. When he opened the door, a slim woman stood there, drenched. She wore black from head to toe, scarf tied tight. She didn't enter. She didn't smile. "Is it true you saw the child's grave?" she asked. Her voice was soft but steady. Chitty just nodded. She looked down for a second, then said, "That child wasn't supposed to die, and your mother wasn't supposed to say yes. But she did. Now she's gone, and you've seen what you shouldn't see." Chitty's voice was cold. "Who was the child?" The woman raised her head. "Their child. The one they covered up. Just stay quiet. Don't go back there. You have a sister to protect." Before he could ask anything else, lightning flashed, and she was already walking away. By morning, Chitty was tired of warnings. He had done everything right. He had buried his mother in the backyard, like they said. He didn't speak to anyone. He didn't dig again. But the silence around him felt heavier than noise. So, before the sun fully rose, he grabbed his shovel and returned to the old grave. He dug faster this time. His hands didn't shake. He pulled out the small coffin again, opened it, and looked carefully. The same bones. But this time he noticed something else. A piece of cloth, tightly wrapped and shoved behind the child's ribs. He pulled it out. It was a baby dress, soft pink, with a tag still stitched inside. A name, Emily Grace. Chitty's heart skipped. He'd never heard that name in the village before. That meant the child wasn't from here. This wasn't just a secret burial. It was a cover-up. By afternoon, a black car arrived in the village. The kind nobody drove around here. Windows tinted, plates clean. It stopped near the Anglican church. Chitty saw it from afar. A few minutes later, a tall man in white shirt and dark trousers walked toward his compound. His face was sharp, like someone used to giving orders. "I heard you found something," the man said calmly. "I work with the people involved." Chitty didn't shake his hand. "Then tell me why my mother had to carry this thing till her death." The man looked him in the eye. "Your mother was paid to protect a powerful name. She didn't do it for money. She did it for you. Now she's gone, and you're talking to people you shouldn't talk to." Chitty didn't move. "So what now?" The man stepped closer. "Let it go, or you'll bury more than just your mother." The day after the man with the car left, everything changed. People who had ignored Chitty started showing up with fake concern. The women brought food. The elders came to check on the children. Even the youth group sent a small offering. Chitty didn't buy it, not for 1 second. He knew they weren't doing it for his mother. They just didn't want him to talk. At night, he sat outside the house alone. The village was quiet. Too quiet for his liking. He could feel it. Something was coming. Something bigger than him. Oge came and sat beside him. "Did Mummy know that child?" she asked softly. Chitty looked at her and swallowed hard. "I think she did, but she couldn't talk about it." Oge nodded like she understood. Then she said the one thing that shook him. "I saw Mummy talking to someone at the grave 2 weeks before she died." Chitty didn't sleep. He kept thinking about the name on the cloth. Emily Grace. It sounded foreign, not like any name in their village. He went to the primary school the next day to ask around. Nothing. Then to the health center. Still nothing. But on his way back, he met the church cleaner, Madame Ruth, sweeping outside the old vestry. He greeted her, and out of instinct, he asked, "Do you know the name Emily Grace?" The broom stopped midair. She looked up slowly. "Where did you hear that name?" Chitty didn't answer. She wiped her forehead and looked around before whispering. "There was a white woman that stayed here years ago. Missionary. Her baby died under strange circumstances. People said it was malaria, but some said it wasn't malaria." Chitty felt cold all over. Was her name Emily? She nodded. Emily Grace. They left quietly. No funeral. No burial. Just disappeared. That evening, the village chief came to Chitty's compound. Unannounced. No guards. No kinsmen. Just him and his long walking stick. Chitty offered him a chair. He refused to sit. "You're a strong boy," the chief said. "Your mother raised you well." Chitty stayed silent. "What you found was not meant to be found. Your mother was chosen to carry that burden, but now she's gone." He paused. "So I'll ask you only once. Are you planning to talk?" Chitty looked him straight in the eye. "I already did." The chief didn't flinch. "You think the world will care about one dead child buried in the bush? You think you're doing the right thing?" Chitty's voice was quiet, but firm. "I think I'm doing what my mother couldn't." Chitty started asking real questions. He searched through every corner of their compound. His mother kept things simple. No documents, no books. just old photographs and wrappers. But behind the cupboard, he found something. A single picture, folded and worn out. His mother, holding a baby that wasn't Oge. The child was fair, almost pale. The same baby dress, pink, with the dove-shaped lace around the neck. It wasn't a village child. He ran to Mama Rose's hut again, slammed the picture on the stool. "Who is this child?" he asked. Mama Rose stared for a long time. Then she simply said, "Your half-sister." Chitty's knees gave out. He sat on the floor, shaking. "What?" Mama Rose looked away. "Your mother had another child before you. She gave her up, but the child didn't survive. She buried her secretly. That's the grave you found." Chitty didn't go home that night. He sat under the mango tree behind Mama Rose's house, replaying every conversation, every silence from his mother, every question he never asked. So the child wasn't from a missionary. She wasn't from a foreign family. She was his mother's child, his blood, and yet nobody told him. When he got back to the house in the morning, Oge was standing outside barefoot, holding a piece of paper someone had dropped by the door. It had no words, just a drawing, a dove, inside a circle. Chitty didn't understand what it meant. But one thing was clear. Someone else knew what he found, and they were watching. The symbol of the dove didn't leave Chitty's mind. He went to the old Anglican church the next day, searching. The place was mostly empty, except for one woman sitting at the back row, middle-aged, calm face, reading a Bible like she wasn't aware of anything happening outside. As Chitty turned to leave, she called his name. Softly, he froze. "Do I know you?" She smiled faintly. "No, but I know your mother." He walked back slowly, heart racing. "Who are you?" "I'm the nurse that helped her deliver the child." She closed the Bible gently. She begged me to keep quiet. Said nobody could know she had a child for that man. Chitty sat down beside her. "What man?" She sighed. "The village chief." That night, Chitty didn't sleep. His head was spinning. His heart was pounding. The child in the grave was his mother's first daughter, and the chief's. It all started making sense. The sudden visit, the threats, the silence. His mother had carried that secret for years. Maybe out of shame, maybe out of fear, maybe both. He marched straight to the chief's compound the next morning. The guards blocked him, but the chief waved them off. "You knew," Chitty said, standing in the open yard. "You knew she was your daughter." The chief's face didn't move. "And what do you want now? Apology? Money? What?" Chitty's voice was firm. "You let your own child rot in the ground, and you're still standing here like nothing happened." The chief looked tired. "She wasn't supposed to die. Your mother told me too late. And by then, the only thing I could give was silence." News began to spread fast. People started talking, whispering in corners, asking questions they buried long ago. The story was no longer Chitty's alone. It was the village's. That evening, while Chitty and Oge were inside eating boiled yam, a loud crack snapped through the air. Then smoke. The back of the compound was on fire. Chitty grabbed Oge and rushed out. Neighbors came running with buckets. But someone had poured petrol near the fence. It wasn't an accident. By morning, most of their things were gone. But Chitty didn't shed a tear. He stood outside, shirtless in the cold, and said to no one in particular, "Let them burn everything. The truth is already out." 3 days later, Chitty and 2 elders returned to the bush path. This time, he didn't go alone. Mama Rose followed. So did Madame Ruth. Even Baba Matthews showed up. Chitty dug up the small coffin one last time. They laid the bones in a fresh white cloth, placed it in a new box, and buried her beside Mama Evelyn, the mother who carried the secret, the pain, and the blame. He didn't speak during the burial, but after the last shovel of sand, he looked up and said, "Her name was Emily Grace. She was my sister." Nobody interrupted. Nobody stopped him. For the first time, the village listened. Things didn't return to normal. Not immediately, but slowly. The whispers faded. The chief stopped showing his face in public. Nobody said it, but everyone knew why. Chitty started farming the back of the compound. Nothing fancy, just yam and maize. Oge returned to school. The pastor finally came to pray for their house. One evening, as the sun dropped behind the palm trees, Chitty sat quietly in the mango tree, eyes closed. Mama Evelyn was gone. Emily was gone. But the silence felt different now, not heavy, just peaceful. Some truths don't bring healing, but at least they stopped the bleeding. Chitty didn't get revenge. He didn't get justice. But he got something else. the chance to let the dead rest, the way they were never allowed to when they were alive.